right, man. Let's get this thing started. It is a little bit past my time. I've been running a little behind schedule lately. When the days were longer, it seemed like I was getting all my podcasts done around 7 o'clock. It's around 8:30 now. Which is coming close to my bedtime before I do this podcast, so forget the yawning, guys. But anyway, it just seems like now that it gets darker, it seems like time just goes a lot faster in the evening. So sometimes my podcast will come a little later, and that's just what it is, guys. On Friday my podcast, I'll probably be doing an extremely early podcast. Don't know where I'll be doing it from or how I'll be doing it, but on Fridays, I'm taking on a little bit of extra work. In the evenings, it starts at 7, so I either got to get in here and have it done as soon as I get home, to be out and about. And we'll see how it's going to go. We'll see how it's going to work out. But anyway, we're going to figure it all out because I'm going to be continually coming at you with daily content, guys. And I want you guys to be ready for it, all right? So we'll figure it out. But anyway, we're going to get started with this podcast. So let's get everything going, man. Let's cue this thing up on Spotify, and let's get started. Here we go. What's up, gang? How you guys doing? I am Lieutenant Sal Blue. That's right. 28-year law enforcement veteran and the author of the top 25 mistakes en route to the good life, coming at you with my daily podcast. That's right. And I come at you with my daily podcast, guys. I once again tell you, hop on over to my website, lieutenantsalblue.com. Pick up your free autographed copy of my book, Top 25 Mistakes en Route to the Good Life. Second edition, man. Second edition. And as I work on this book, I'm giving away 10,000 autographed copies. So after I give away my 10,000 autographed copies, that will be it. That will be it. We're wrapping this up and we're moving on to a new project. So, which is going to be bigger, better, more awesomer than this book right here. So going over to Lieutenant Sal Blue, check it out. That's my autobiography in the back, man. So y'all can check that out as well. But anyway, let's talk about today's podcast, man. I'm really excited about today's podcast because it is going to help you. Literally, I'm going to save your life today. I am going to save your life today with this podcast, guys. And so when I was thinking about this podcast, I do some reading every day. Every day I listen to my audiobooks. Every day I'm doing my reading. And as I saw this one today, I wanted to touch base with enough people so that you guys realize, man, you got to be really careful out there, man. You got to be really careful out there how you go about your rise to power, your increased power, your increased influence, your increased benefits as you go to have a better life. Some people do just about anything. So I feel that I need to say this because there is a knowledge gap when it comes to people trying to achieve the best life possible and them actually achieving the best life possible. It's a huge knowledge gap, and a lot of times it's a skill gap too, but it's a huge knowledge gap, and I want to help to fill that gap for you guys so that you can make sure that you get there. You won't get there scar free, but the best way possible. All right. So anyway, my question today to all of you guys out there listening to my podcast is, how do you know when you have offended the wrong person? How do you know? I mean, I know how I know. I know how I found out, right? But how do you know when you have offended the wrong person? Now, I'd first like to say that if you don't know, right, the answer to this question before you act, you may not be around to hear the end of this podcast. You may not be around to hear the answer to that question, right? If you are a type of person that just acts and you don't wait for anybody to tell you, hey, slow down, hey, you should do this, hey, you should tread lightly. If you're just a person that just acts, then you're probably not around for the answer to this podcast question. And you probably just flip right through here and you saw it, but you're like, psh, I don't need this. I know what I know. I already knew that. You're that guy, right? So anyway, there are so many kinds of people in this world, and you cannot go around assuming, right, that everyone is going to react the same way to your attempts to get ahead. I've watched people do this throughout my career and throughout my life, and boy, oh boy, they try to treat every single person like they're a nail. And that person, all they have as a tool is a hammer. And so that's how they treat everybody. The only tool in their toolbox is a hammer. So they try to treat everybody as a nail. And you know what happens when you treat everybody as a nail? What? You eventually get screwed. That's right, man. So that was my little play on words to make myself laugh right here. I didn't even write that joke down. How about that? That just came to me. But anyway, guys, I like to tell you guys this: cross, deceive, or outmaneuver the wrong person, and they will spend the rest of their lives seeking revenge against you. Now understand that, right? And that revenge that they seek against you, it may not be blatant and outright. It may be in silence, it may be in secret, it may be through other people, okay? But you will continually try to figure out, like, why did I fail in this? Or why did I get shut down for that? Or why did I get rejected from this? You know, and so when it happens constantly, guys, constantly, you look at yourself and you go, what did I do wrong? And it may be that you crossed the wrong person. So you got to understand that. You got to pay attention and slow down a little bit and just listen to the rest of this podcast. So maybe you can get a little bit of knowledge and you can make it through this, okay? Now, in your attempt to have a better life, right, it may involve your rise in power, right? Your rise in power, your rise in influence, right? During that rise, right? During that rise in power or influence, you will come across so many different type of people, right? And some of those people will be your opponents, right? People you're directly competing against. You know, others will be just suckers, right? As the saying goes, there is a sucker born every minute. There's sucker born every minute. There's suckers all over in all different phases, right? They're just suckers, man. They fall for anything, and when you're trying to rise to the top, those are the people that sometimes end up under your boot when you're walking up the ladder, all right? Because they just fall for anything. So they fall under your boot sometimes and get in your way. And and then the last, you have the victims, right? And you know the victims, guys. The victims are the people who, before you even begin your rise in power, these victims, they have already relinquished their power to you. They have already given up on them trying to succeed, because everything that they have to do to succeed all depends on someone else, right? So those are the three type of people that you'll probably be coming across in your rise in power, in your rise in value, in your rise in trying to have a better life for you and your family, right? Trying to create a better company or whatever you're trying to do, right? You're trying to do something better in your life. So those are the type of people that you're probably going to come across, right? And in your life, right, it is your job. You have one job. You have many jobs, but in this podcast, you have one job. And that job is to know the difference between the wolves and the lambs, man. You got to know the difference between the wolves and the lambs. And you know why, right? Because think about this, right? You cross a lamb and you may gain a tactical advantage, right? Somebody's a lamb. They may just roll over on their belly and you just run right through them, right? When you're trying to achieve ultimate power, whatever you want to get, right? But think of this, right? If you cross a wolf, right, you may have just punched your ticket to the other side, man. And you know what I mean by punch your ticket to the other side. There are some people that will come back at you with a vengeance so fierce, okay, that your ancestors will be rolling in their graves, man. So you gotta be careful, man. So in order for you to protect your rise in power, right? In order for you to protect your rise in power at all costs, this is important. I'm going to give you what Robert Greene says, what he explains as the 5 most dangerous and difficult people you may come across in your rise to the top. So if you guys are ready, sit down, take some notes. If you're driving and you're listening to this podcast, man, play this part back because you need to know these type of people. Or maybe you just got a damn good memory, man, and you need to remember this and remember these people as you're coming across them at all costs, okay? These are the 5 type of people. The first type of person, guys, is the arrogant and proud man. And I don't know if you're an arrogant and proud man listening to this, but you definitely know someone out there who is an arrogant and very proud man. And that guy is extremely, extremely dangerous, right? Now think of this, right? Now this man is dangerous because of his touchy pride. I've grown up, man, and it doesn't matter at what income level you're at, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a businessman or a thug in the street, right? You can be the arrogant and the proud man. And I've seen this coming up. And it's this man with the touchy pride, right? They're so fragile. And when this type of individual perceives any slight to his character, right? You know, one of the things that I used to always hear growing up from the arrogant or the proud man was, you disrespected me, right? You disrespected me. You looked at me wrong. You made somebody laugh at me. Whatever you did, man, you may not have thought that it was significant enough, okay, to bring on such a barrage of violent, vengeful attack from this individual. And that is because you didn't understand the fact that this was an arrogant and proud man. And they are probably the most overwhelmingly dangerous individuals that you may have to deal with in your life, right? And as I tell people, even the smallest comments can lead to overwhelming violence from this type of individual. And there is no reasoning behind it. So you're going to be trying to figure out, what did I do and why did they overreact this way? No, there's no reasoning behind the arrogant man or the proud man. There's no reasoning behind it. So you're not going to figure out the answer to their overreaction. So it's pointless, right? So it is best, right? It is best to see as soon as you see this type of man, it is best to avoid any dealings with this type of person, right? And you got to understand that this person is extremely oversensitive, right? And overactive with their pride, right? So if you happen to see somebody and you're dealing with them, or you see somebody dealing with them and they're overreacting as far as their pride is quickly hurt or quickly crushed, and they're super sensitive to all different phases, whatever you're dealing with, right? You know, super sensitive about their hair, super sensitive about their personality, super sensitive about their past, where they came from, you know. Don't even deal with these people. Avoid them at all costs, get as far away from this individual as you can. This individual is dangerous. Okay? Okay. They are dangerous. And when I say violence, I mean this type of individual will take your life. Right? They will overreact and they will take your life. And they may be sorry for it later, but the fact of the matter is that is far too late for you. Get as far away from this type of individual as you possibly can. Men, women, children, go. Run the opposite direction. Don't deal with an arrogant man or a proud man. Stay away from him. The next type of individual I want to talk about is the hopelessly insecure man. Now, this may seem similar, okay, to the arrogant and proud man and his reaction, okay, but understand this, guys. Understand this. This individual, even though similar to the proud man, is less violent. They're less violent, but they're a lot harder to spot, right? So it's easy to spot an arrogant man or a proud man, right? And I told you, since it's easy to spot him, you got to avoid him at all costs. But the hopelessly insecure man, they're not as easy to spot, okay? And they have a very fragile ego. And I've seen far too many of these people. They have a very fragile ego. And if they feel that you have deceived them or attacked them, the pain that they have, they won't act outright like the proud, arrogant man. No, they will allow it to simmer. And you know what happens when people's pain and hurt simmers in their head. They will let it simmer, and then they will attack you in small little bites, right? You know the people. They'll throw other people your way to come after you. They'll try to dirty your name, right? They will, if they're working in your company, they'll do little things to try to tear your company down. They'll try to build up a coup against you, small coup against you, for people to come against you and talk about you. Everything in their power, they'll do it. They'll do it all in small bites, right? And so the problem is that these small bites are very, very difficult to notice, right? And then eventually when you notice, you're like, oh my God, it's like almost far too late. It's like the 1,000 cuts, right? They continue to nick at you, until finally the bites get big enough for you to feel them. My suggestion to you is, if you even think that you have did something wrong to any of these type of people, get as far away as possible, okay, from this individual. If you have harmed them or deceived them anyway, get them as far away from possible. If they work for your company, just fire them. Just fire them, get them out, okay? And if they're in your circle of influence, totally and completely annihilate them from your circle of influence. Get them away from you as soon as possible, right? They will never, right, this fragile individual, hopeless, insecure man, they will never stop trying to tear you down until they nibble you to death, right? Literally. They will continue to bite at every chance they get, until your demise, right? Until they find a moment where you're weak enough to bite you to death. So get those people out of your life as quick as possible. Okay, the next individual, right? And this kills me, but I see it all the time. The Mr. Suspicious, right? The Mr. Suspicious. Now this guy sees what he wants to see, right? Not what's happening. This guy always sees what he wants to see, and it's usually the worst, right? It's usually the worst, right? He sees the worst in other people and always imagines that everyone is after him, right? You know the guy. He's suspicious of everything and everybody, and he constantly thinks that people are out to get him, right? People are out to do him wrong, you know, or he is about to do him wrong, or she is about to do him wrong. Mr. Suspicious can't get it right because they always think that everybody is doing wrong. Okay, so you got to be careful of Mr. Suspicious, right? That person is also dangerous, right? Now, he is not as dangerous as the previous two, right? He's not going to violently try to kill you like the arrogant proud man, right? And he's not going to try to bite you to death, you know, like the insecure man, right? He's not going to try to do that. But because Mr. Suspicious is totally and completely unbalanced, right? He is very, very easy to deceive, right? And therein lies your problem, right? Because he's easy to deceive, right? What you can do is you can use his suspiciousness against him, right? To attack your enemy. You can just redirect him to attack somebody else and just make Mr. Suspicious think that that person is trying to come at him. So you can continue your rise in power uninterrupted. Okay? But understand this, and here is the danger, guys, that I want you guys to understand. If you don't spot this type of individual soon enough, right, your competition will use that same tactic against you. And guess what? If Mr. Suspicious believes, right, that you have deceived him or hurt him, right, and it has been used as a strategy against you by your competition, he will not stop coming after you. Okay? So don't be beaten by the same strategy that you can use to get ahead, right? So make sure somebody else doesn't use this against you first, period. Okay, just don't get on Mr. Suspicious's radar, his wrong side, as we like to say. Now, the fourth type of person, guys, and I hope you guys are really paying attention to this because this is a life changer right here, is the serpent with the long memory, right? Now, the serpent with the long memory, I mean, I guess you guys can understand the fact that I just said serpent, right? Because of the fact I said serpent, man, you should be aware that it is a highly dangerous situation that you can possibly be dealing with, right? Now understand, the serpent, the individual who I would call a serpent, if this individual is hurt or deceived, the funny thing is they will show no emotion. They won't overreact. They won't talk about it. They won't do anything, right, on the surface, right? They will just calculate and wait, right? Oh, okay. This guy just tried to take me out. This guy just tried to hurt me. This guy just tried to deceive me in his rise to power. I'm going to figure out what it takes to take him out, no matter how long it takes to do it. That's right. The serpent is going to wait it out. And then, as soon as they're in a position, okay, to turn the tables on you, they will. And they will take their revenge, guys, marked by a cold-blooded shrewdness. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen somebody attack with a cold-blooded shrewdness, right? It doesn't seem like it even has emotion to it, right? So it seems like when somebody attacks you and they don't seem like they don't have any emotion to it, it's hard to reason with them. They're just going to come after you. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? And so as it comes at you with its shrewdness, you will be able to recognize this maybe before it happens, okay? If it's an individual that I'm trying to tell you not to cross, you can probably recognize this before it happens, because this is how they act toward everybody and everything. They are extremely calculating in just about everything they do, right? And they are very cunning, and like the fox, man, in all areas of their life. So understand that. And when you see that type of individual and them acting like that, you can now observe their cold-bloodedness and their unaffectionate way that they act toward people and situations, and you can then make it a point to avoid them, right? You can make it a point to avoid them, make it a point not to cross them, or if you do happen to hurt this individual or cross them, this is not the type of individual that you can back off of, right? If you cross this individual, you got to crush them completely. You got to totally and completely take them out, okay? Because they will, like I said, they are a long waiter, and they will sit there and they will wait, and if you just so happen to slip up, they'll be there to take you out. So you got to make sure, okay, that if you happen to cross this type of individual, that you crush them completely, that you go all in, that you don't dibble and dabble, okay, with this type of individual. You got to be very, very careful, right? The fifth type of individual, and the last one that I'm talking to you guys about, and probably the one that you guys think that you can really, really take advantage of, right, when it comes to your rise in power. Just some people that you just overlook, right? This dummy over here. That's what you guys do. And that is, last but not least, the plain, unassuming, and often unintelligent man, right? And you watch him, and just think about the words that I just said. Plain, unassuming, unintelligent, right? Now, and this person looks like the perfect mark for people, right? As I've just said, those three words, plain, unassuming, and unintelligent. You think that, hey, this guy's an easy mark. I could take him out, no problem. I can use him for all types of things in my rise to power. Here's the issue. Here's the problem, right? Falling for your ruses, like things you're going to do to try to get over on people or to rise at the top, whatever you're trying to do, right? It takes someone of intelligence to pick up on what you're trying to do, to see that there's possibilities for advantages for them to get ahead, so that then you can then slip the rug from out under them, because it's just a farce. They're not really getting ahead. They're jumping at something that you put out there as bait, okay, for them to grab at it, so that then you can leap over them and you can get ahead. And see, what happens is that the unintelligent, unassuming individual, they don't take the bait because they don't see it. They don't understand it, okay? And so it is hard for them to fall for anything of intelligence because it goes over their head, man. They miss it completely. So when I say that this type of individual is dangerous, guys, when I say that this type of individual is dangerous, it's not because they're going to go out there and they're going to seek revenge and try to hurt you, try to bite you to death, or be calculated in what they're doing. It's none of the above, right? It is the fact that they will wear you out trying to bait them in. They will take all of your time, all your valuable assets, right? They will take all of your time, right? They will take all of your energy, okay? And they will take everything that you have to give in order just to get this person to bite. And they're not even worth it. They're not even worth the effort. So their biggest danger is the fact that they're just going to zap all of your time, and you cannot get back your wasted time, your wasted energy, and your wasted resources. You can't get that back, guys. So last but not least, these are the 5 people that you really, really got to be careful about. And as I tell you guys over and over and over again, your ability to measure people and know who you are dealing with, right, is one of your most important skills you will use in your rise in power. You have to develop that skill. That is your job, to develop the skill to know people. It is going to be the difference between you having a great life and having a mediocre life. You got to learn people. You got to learn who to cross, who not to cross, what lines to cross, what lines to not cross. You have to know this in this world, because this world is a very, very dangerous place if you don't pay attention to all the cues that are lined up in order to help you succeed or to make you fail, guys. Last two things. When it comes to figuring all of this out, guys, there's two things that I want you to know. Okay, the first thing is, do not rely on your instincts. Our instincts are flawed. Right? Our instincts are flawed. Okay, and because our instincts are flawed, we cannot use them to determine, okay, these type of people. You cannot use your instincts to do it, right? Because people will dupe you in. The second thing is, never trust appearances. People are always going to put up a front for you, okay? And if you run around and you trust appearances, you will always fall into someone else's trap. So I do not want you guys to do that, right? Don't fall into someone else's trap. So listen, I'm going to wrap that up for today, man. Make sure you do your homework on people, guys. You got to. It is so, so important. But anyway, that is it for today. Make sure you guys hop on over to lieutenantsoundblue.com. Pick up your free copy of my book, Top 25 Mistakes En Route to the Good Life, right? And I got tons of other specials that I'm throwing up there on my site for you guys to pick up and check out. Also, DM me at all the social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit, Blogger, Twitter, okay? And let me know what you want me to talk about on my next podcast, all right? So I'm wrapping it up for today. This is Lieutenant Sound Blue, 28-year law enforcement veteran, and I will see you tomorrow. Deuces.